Is this a police or medical?
My boyfriend is dead.
Okay, send the line for the fire department. Do not hang up.
Sup, sobers? Have you ever wondered why they say cats have 9 lives? Well, I have. So in Egyptian mythology, there is a goddess. Her name's Bastet. She's the goddess of the home, of fertility, and of domesticity. She's a protector. She is supposed to protect you from all things evil in your home, and she's supposed to protect you from disease. And I guess this goddess Bastet found cats to be just truly magical creatures. She found them to be sacred, and so much so that it was actually illegal in Egypt to kill cats because of this goddess Bastet and how much she loved cats. And we all know that cats, you throw them out of a tree, not that I've ever done that, but you throw them out of a tree or they fall from really high and they always land on their feet somehow. And they just seem to be able to get themselves out of these crazy, sticky situations, no matter what. And because of that, they've just always been revered by the Egyptian society as just being a sacred, special, unique creature. And they've also revered the number 9 as being a very sacred, special, complete, whole number. It's assumed that because they valued cats so much and they valued the symbolism of the number 9 as just being the pinnacle number. I mean, it even goes back to things like, Tesla's 369 theory, where 9 is the ultimate number, 9 is the whole number, 9 is the number of completeness. All other numbers stem from 9, and it's the number of life. Because of cats being so revered, it's just said that they possess this innate quality to just get out of sticky situations. It's almost as if they possess multiple lives. And they say that they chose the number 9 just because of its unique symbolism. Cats have 9 lives because it's a complete, whole, godly number. And it just made sense to have cats have this many lives in Egyptian society because they're a sacred being. So they have a sacred number of lives. Well, hopefully the number 9 is equally as sacred for Sarah Boone, because she is on her 9th attorney as she heads into her trial, which has been said by the judge will not be postponed. No, ma'am, no more postponings. We are not postponing this trial any further. And that starts today.
Oh my God. Let me show you what I got. This beat is so hot. Oh my God.
So if you don't know what case I'm talking about, then let's jump right in, and I want to do a quick recap on the case and just get you guys caught up to where we're at today. But more than anything, I'm really curious as to what your guys' predictions are as to how this trial is going to go. So let's stop talking about it and let's talk about it. First order of business is going to be a huge shout out to Miss K2U9. This was an idea that I actually had dropped from Miss K on my Wade Wilson video, and it's a case that I had heard about, but when she said the name, it's been so long since I've heard about this case that I honestly forgot it. And I'm so glad that she brought it up to me because, well, I didn't realize that her trial was coming up so soon, so I figured this is a perfect case to talk about. So thanks again, Miss K2U9. Go follow her, subscribe, see what's up. But I just wanted to give her a shout out for the recommendation on the idea. Sarah Boone. Man, I have never actually experienced what a narcissist is until I researched this case. If you've ever thought that you were a narcissist or thought that you knew somebody who was a narcissist, then you might be right, you might be wrong, but hopefully after we talk a little bit more about Sarah Boone, you will know exactly what a narcissist looks like, because, man, this chick literally can't think past her own nose. I swear to God, she's just she gives me anxiety to research this case. She is definitely 100% full-blown narcissist. Shout out to Narcissistic Hex if he's watching. Sarah Boone exhibits every single symptom of narcissism that there is.
I don't think you all understand who I am.
Okay. Well, tell me.
I mean, I've always been a straight-A student. I am an outstanding mother to my son. Okay. I excel at everything. I would not do that.
Even still, now that she's in jail, she's still trying to grasp on to any little bit of control that she has, and she has none. She has zero. But she's trying anyways. Now, on February 24th in 2020, greatest year of our time, Sarah and her boyfriend at the time, Jorge Torres, were playing a game of hide and seek. Now, George is not that tall. He's about 5'4". He's only about 120 pounds if he's soaking wet, which I'm not much bigger than that, so I can't be too judgmental. But the dude's small, so he probably would fit in the suitcase. So they put him in the suitcase and they zip him up fully because it's not enough to just see if he'll fit in the suitcase. It's funny to see him actually in the suitcase, apparently. And not only is it funny for him to be in the suitcase, but it's funny to leave him in the suitcase for an extended period of time, according to Sarah. And the Winter Park 911 dispatch team gets a distressing phone call that maybe they get all the time. I don't know, it's Florida, but probably a new one for them.
Is this a police or medical?
My boyfriend is dead.
Okay, send the line for the fire department. Do not hang up.
Fire rescue. What's the location, Mercy?
Desk 32.
No, please don't leave.
4748 France Lane, apartment 3.
France Court.
France Court.
Yes.
Okay, is this near Mackenzie Drive?
I don't know where that is.
Okay, 4748 France, correct?
Correct.
All right, correct. Now tell me exactly what happened there.
My boyfriend and I were playing last night, and
Mm-hmm.
I put him in his case and we were playing. And
Okay.
like kind of hide and seek kind of thing. So I fell asleep and I woke up and he was dead in the suitcase. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Right, okay, what's the apartment number?
3.
I don't know.
Apartment 3?
Yes, like he has like blood coming out of his mouth, and I don't know if like he had like an aneurysm or what happened.
Right, okay, all right, okay. Listen, we're getting help out there too. All right, okay. Okay,
And now?
Okay, yeah, man, listen, we're on our way out there. You're at 407-716-8684. Okay, is he hanging from somewhere or what, ma'am?
No, I pulled him out of the suitcase. I tried giving him CPR.
Okay, so he was in a suitcase?
Yes, and I fell asleep.
Okay, how old is the boyfriend, ma'am? 42-year-old male. All right. Okay, we're sending help out there. Sheriff's officer on the way out there?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, okay. All right, listen to me. Okay, I just need to confirm this. All right, I understand. I just need to confirm this. Is he awake at all? Is he conscious at all?
No, he's purple.
Is he breathing?
No.
All right. I need you to get him on the floor, flat on his back for me, okay?
I did. I tried giving him CPR.
All right.
I tried giving him CPR.
Yeah, okay.
But nothing happened. He's purple.
Okay, listen to me. There's a defibrillator available. I need you to get it for me, okay?
What is it?
You have an AED available?
No.
All right. You're right by him now.
I'm sorry?
Are you right by him now?
Yes.
Okay. Lay him flat on his. Okay, ma'am, listen. Listen, is he cold and stiff?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he's not necessarily cold, but he's stiff. And he's
right.
purple.
Okay. All right. Listen to me. Listen to me. I want you to lay him flat on his back for me on the floor.
I did.
Removing the pillows. Okay.
Yes, I did.
All right. Okay.
He's stiff and purple.
Right. Okay. Listen. Okay, man. That's fine. We're still going to do compressions on him. Okay. All right. Place the heel of your hand on his breastbone, right in the center of the chest, right between the nipples.
Yes.
Put your other hand on top of that hand.
Baby, I'm telling you. Just by looking at him, you can tell.
Okay.
Please. Okay, he just gurgled.
Okay. Listen to me. All right. I want you to place the heel of your hand. Okay, right between his chest, right between his breastbones.
Yes.
Put your other hand on top of that hand.
Yes,
we want to pump his chest to me hard and fast, going to this twice per second.
I'm doing it again.
Okay, no, just keep on pumping. That's all you need to do for me. Keep on pumping his chest for me. I don't need you to stop and talk or anything. I just want you to count out loud for me, okay?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This is nothing.
Okay, ma'am, just keep on pumping his chest. That's all you need to do for me, okay?
Yes. Come on, please. Hurry up.
Okay, ma'am, they're driving here as fast as they can. Okay, don't stop to say hurry up. Just keep on pumping and counting.
I'm still doing it while I'm talking to you, okay?
Okay.
Still doing it.
All right, just continue pumping the chest. Count on a second count with you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Please hurry.
Okay, ma'am, they're getting there as fast as they can, okay?
He's stiff and he's purple.
Okay. Keep pumping his chest for me, ma'am.
I'm still doing it, okay? Still doing it. Just don't make me count, okay?
Right, okay, that's fine. You're doing a good job. Just keep on doing it for me. That's all right. They're getting there as fast as they can, along with the sheriff's office also, okay?
Please.
Okay. Keep on pumping, ma'am. 1,
We were playing hide
2,
and seek.
3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep on pumping for me, ma'am.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Believe me, I'm doing it, okay? We were playing
Okay.
hide and seek.
Okay. All right, I understand. All right, just keep on pumping for me, okay? Okay.
Please hurry. This
Right,
is
okay.
horrible. This is horrific. What happened? Like, what happened?
Okay, ma'am, just keep on pumping his chest for me, okay? They're in the parking lot. They should be up there shortly, okay?
I'm still doing it, okay?
All right, okay, good. And you found them in a suitcase, you said?
Yes. We were playing hide and seek last night. I fell asleep. I think they're here.
Right, just keep on pumping his chest until they take over, okay?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Okay.
Open. Come in. Can I stop pumping now?
Obviously, police are dispatched immediately. They arrive on the scene to a very distraught Sarah, and they also have Mr. Brian Boone, which is Sarah's ex-husband, actually, which happens to be the first person that she called instead of the police. She decided to call Brian first, which totally makes sense. Now, Sarah mentions that her boyfriend is dead. She doesn't mention that earlier the previous night, George and her were working on some puzzles, they were painting, they were just hanging out at the house and doing kind of normal couple stuff, but they were also drinking. It sounds like they had a couple bottles of wine, and the two of them decide that they're going to play hide and go seek at some point, because that's what normal 40-year-old men and women do when they're drunk and hanging out together at home. They play hide and seek. So while they're playing hide and seek, I guess they get bored or they forget how to play. They forget the rules of the game, because Sarah says that they think that it would be fun for George to get into this suitcase that they found that they were thinking about donating to Goodwill. They were going to get rid of a bunch of other stuff, and they were just going to stuff it all into this suitcase and take it all there. But while the suitcase was laying around, like, it'd be kind of funny. See if maybe George would fit in this suitcase. Yeah, not a very big guy, so very likely that he would actually fit inside of this suitcase. However, it is interesting that they decide that it'd be even funnier to zip this suitcase up. To me, that sounds like a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. If you ever got me into a suitcase like that, which you wouldn't, then you would never be able to get it zipped up because, number one, I'm 6 foot tall. I don't think I would fit in a suitcase. I'm just too tall. Number two, I would never let you. I would punch you. I would freak out. I would lose my cool because I am claustrophobic as hell. How on earth did this dude get into a suitcase and allow it to get zipped shut? We'll touch more on that later. Anyhow, Sarah thinks it's hilarious. According to Sarah, he also thinks it's hilarious. They're laughing, joking, having a great time. And at some point, Sarah decides she's going to go to bed. She just thinks, oh, he can get out. I left him enough room for 2 fingers in the zipper to be able to get out of the suitcase. He just likes it in the suitcase. He must just be enjoying himself down there. Maybe he's beating it, or I don't even know. Like, he's doing something, but I'm going to bed. So she goes upstairs. She's hanging out for about 30 minutes, roughly, she says. And then that's when she just more than likely passes out, but she says she goes to sleep. She wasn't intending to go to sleep, but she says she goes to sleep. At about 11:30 the next day, Brian Boone, which is Sarah's ex-husband, he is blowing her phone up. And this is pretty normal. He's always having to blow her phone up. Why? Because they have a son together. And per their custody arrangement, they split Monday, Tuesday with Brian, Wednesday, Thursday with Sarah, and then they kind of alternate the weekend days. Since Sarah is, not really the best about making sure she takes care of their son Lucas on her days, Brian really has to take care of her and blow her phone up like this and make sure that she's actually going to be able to take him for the day. So he's calling her about 11:30, make sure she's awake because he's going to be bringing over Lucas later that day. And he also wants to know, are you even going to want to take him today? Because some days she doesn't. According to Brian, she really only takes Lucas maybe 1 to 2 days a week, even though she's scheduled to have him 3 to 4 days a week. So she's really not holding up her end of the bargain. So for him to be blowing her up at 11:30, making sure she's awake, makes total sense. But she does not get that phone call. She doesn't get the phone call that he makes at 12:25 either. She doesn't actually get the phone calls that he's making to her until 12:49. And that's when she wakes up and is very startled because she can't find her boyfriend. George, where is he? Come on, George, quit messing around. Where are you at, man? George is dead. He's still in the suitcase. But she doesn't realize this until about 1 o'clock.
I mean, I know that I was in bed probably by 12:30? Okay. Well, I went upstairs at least, and I fell asleep.
Okay.
Forgetting that he was in the suitcase.
So you guys were playing the hide and go seek?
Yes.
And at some point you put him in the suitcase?
No, he got in the suitcase. So he thought it would be funny to be put in the suitcase. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to joke with you, and I'll zip you up and make him, squirm a little bit, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But then I fell asleep. Mm-hmm. I fell asleep.
Where was the suitcase?
Right where it is.
Right down there?
Yes.
You zipped him in there?
Yes.
Thought he would be funny, a little joke?
It was. We both were laughing about it. Okay. And then I fell asleep.
Where did you fall asleep at?
Upstairs.
In your bedroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally forgetting that he was in the suitcase still.
Okay. And then you came back downstairs?
This morning, or this afternoon, yes, when I got up.
What time?
12:30-ish. I was awake, but I totally forgot that he was in the suitcase.
Now, when ambulances and police arrive, they realize there's nothing that can be done. He is gone. He's been gone for a while. In fact, police think that he's been gone for 11 or more hours. So that means that he died in that suitcase the night before, and he was left there. Ugh. That is the most tragic, frightening, horrific death ever on the planet. But also, why? Why were you getting in a suitcase? And that, to me, is where some of this mystique and intrigue comes in with this case, is why was he in that suitcase? What were you doing in the suitcase, bro? Now, I've got a theory, but in order to really fully understand my theory, we've got to back up just a little bit. So I want to back up, talk a little bit about Brian. Who is Brian? Well, Brian is Sarah's ex-husband. They were married for about 12, 13 years, and in 2017, they actually finally separated, got officially divorced, and they set up a parenting plan and, did the whole divorce thing. And they have a son together named Lucas. Lucas, at the time of this event, is 9 years old, and I don't really know much about him, not super important to the story, but they have a son together, Lucas, and because of that, the two of them keep in fairly close contact. They're doing a lot of co-parenting still, and one of the main reasons that Brian decided that he was done over this whole Sarah thing is because he was over her drinking. He talks about how she started drinking really heavily after she gave birth to Lucas. Now, it sounds like she might have been having some postpartum depression or something similar to that, and maybe she realized, oh God, life is no longer about me.
I'm just looking for you. But
that was part of it. The alcohol has gotten worse and worse and worse over the years. That's one of the main reasons why I divorced her. I just couldn't deal with it. I mean, it got to the point where, on weekdays, she'd go out, and I guess the George person is one of the people she had met, because I separated at one point and went over to my parents' house to live for a few months, and I guess she met him over at the pool place or something like that. But I'd come back and we were in therapy trying to work it out, and on a weeknight when he's got school the next day, I've got work the next day. I mean, she was out till 3 o'clock in the morning when the bar closes, and she'd bring people back over on the back porch. I mean, one time, some random person walked in my house and started screaming for Sarah at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning when we're trying to sleep. I mean, I just couldn't get over it.
And that's when the whole narcissist thing starts to really kick in for me, is you can see he says that she just did not do well with being a mother. Like, she just didn't handle the responsibility of it well, and she couldn't handle the fact that she had to give up some of her, pastimes, aka drinking, partying, going out. She used to be able to go out, after work and grab a drink and do her own thing, but now she had a baby at home. She doesn't have that same luxury. It's called growing up. But unfortunately, she didn't want to take that responsibility on. She didn't want anything to do with it. And she was frustrated that she had to. And because of that, she started drinking super heavily, is what Brian says. And this alcoholism turned real nasty and started to get super invasive for their relationship. So much so that he said she changed so much he didn't even recognize her anymore. Now, Brian says that there was a history of violence in their relationship, not from him, but from Sarah. He said that she would frequently get mad. She was verbally abusive and physically abusive. He talks about how she would hit him, how she'd dig her nails into him, scratch on him. But because she's small and because he's a guy, he's probably minimizing the fact that she was abusing him, because guys don't like to admit that they're being abused. Guys rarely even like to admit to the fact that they can be abused by women. Like, it's kind of like a taboo kind of an idea, but they can be. And if you are a guy struggling in a relationship with an abusive woman, then seek help, because there is people who love you and you don't have to be stuck in this relationship. Find my Instagram and shoot me a message. Anyways, we got off track. Not only did the drinking get bad, but I guess she was out just, she's with new people. She's out drinking all the time with these people that he doesn't know, and she would cheat on him regularly. So eventually it just got to the point where he'd had enough, and if he stayed with her any longer, he'd just be enabling her. And on top of that, like, Brian sounds like the most amazing dude. Like, he calls her a million times when he doesn't have to try and make sure she has time with their son. He goes over when she just unalived a guy and tries his best to help out in any way he can. I honestly think that she called him first because she thought that he was going to help her deal with the situation, as opposed to tell her to just call the police or call 911. But on top of that, he dealt with her narcissistic nonsense for a really long time. And even still, you can tell that he loves her, even though she's kind of burned all of her bridges with him. You can tell he still is willing to do what he has to, because at the end of the day, it's his son's mom. And no matter what, I know that feeling. No matter what, you'll always love your kid's mom. They gave you the best gift there is. Now, one of the guys that Sarah was cheating on him with, that was actually going to be George. Apparently, they met at a local bar. They would go drink together. They would hang out, and they eventually started a physical relationship while she was still married with Brian. Once she got divorced, it was kind of a no-brainer. Her and George kind of just made it more official. They ended up moving in together a few months later, and their relationship was nothing short of toxic and abusive. Not only does he have a history of being abusive, but he's got a pretty decent rap sheet because of it. On July 25th, 2018, both him and Sarah actually got arrested because she was choking him out. They were having an intense argument. They were both drinking. And at some point when he was walking away from the argument, she decided to choke him out. And he said because she was choking him so hard, he was starting to pass out. So he started to kick at her. And he wasn't really sure where he kicked her, but he thinks he might have kicked her in the face. And he was right. He kicked her right in the face. And she had a massive black eye because of it. But because they both were involved and they couldn't really figure out who was the instigator, who was the real person that started everything, they actually both got charged with domestic violence and battery. And unfortunately for them, they both had to do the whole classes thing. And since it was the state pressing charges, it didn't matter whether or not they didn't press charges on each other. The state was pressing charges against both of them. Then just about a year later, in June of 2019, apparently they get into a pretty decent-sized argument, which ends up leading to some pretty serious physical abuse. Not only that, but he is screaming, "You are gonna die, you are gonna die," as he's hitting her and beating up on her. And it's so bad that there's people around and everything, and the cops get called just because of that. Then 3 days later, George is bonded out by Sarah. He then goes over to Sarah's house, and they have a pretty decent-sized argument, but he decides he's just going to leave. He doesn't want anything physical to happen. That just happened. So he goes downstairs. He grabs one of her credit cards because he says he's just used to using her credit cards often. That's just something normal that he does. And then he goes out and proceeds to, spend money on her credit cards. Sarah doesn't like this. She's still mad and she freaks out about it. And she calls the cops on him for it, saying that he violated his protection order because he's not supposed to be in the same house, let alone within, 500 yards of her or something like that. So because of that, he's arrested again, charged with violating a protection order. And so we see yet another charge going against him because of Sarah. And it's getting more and more obvious that this is a toxic relationship. Sarah was able to get away from him, and she ended up calling the cops. Cops got involved. He was arrested. Then just a few months later, on September 4th, 2019, George breaks into Sarah's house. He's freaking out. He's screaming. He's looking for her. He can't find her. He finally finds her, and immediately they're arguing. They're both drunk, of course. And while they're arguing, at some point, George gets heated and he swings and hits Sarah right in the ear. And when he does that, it causes her to bleed. She's got a pretty serious cut in her ear. And she, of course, calls the cops because, well, number one, he's not even supposed to be around her. Number two, he just committed another act of battery. So it's just not looking good. There's just this massive string along in this short period of time. She got divorced from Brian in 2017. She had been dating George very shortly after that. They'd been dating for about a year and a half, not even at this point. For all this to be happening, just huge red flags going up everywhere. And it's not just one-sided. It's not just coming from George's side. It's obvious that both of them are fighting. They're both arguing. They're both verbally abusive. And it's even said that Sarah is physically abusive to him. She was even charged one time for it. Now, the reason that's important is because Sarah's main defense going into this trial is the battered woman defense, which is basically saying that she was so physically abused and tormented and tortured by George that she wasn't even herself, and she was pushed to her breaking point to where she just finally snapped and did something outlandishly crazy. And that defense makes sense if she's in a relationship where she is being completely battered and, completely beaten, abused, and has no way out of it. That makes a lot of sense. But based on this track record and based on what neighbors and other people have said about them, neighbors, friends, family members all say that Sarah has a huge drinking problem, that she's always drunk, like 90 to 95 to 100% of the time. She's always drunk. And not just drunk, she's belligerently drunk. She's constantly screaming, yelling, getting into fights with neighbors over things, getting into fights with George over things. It's said that she's just not a very pleasant individual. People don't really have many good things to say about her. So couple that with the fact that she has previous domestic violence charges against George. Couple that even more so with the fact that guys are way less likely to report domestic violence than females are. It's just, like I said before, it's just kind of like the stigma. You don't necessarily want to think that you're being abused, and you don't want to think that you're not man enough to handle it on your own. So you're not going to try and get the cops involved. Where things get real dicey for me in this whole battered woman defense is the fact that in the autopsy, poor George, who was 42 years old when he died, was covered in bruises, scratches. He had a black eye. He looked like he got beaten up. The official autopsy report said that George officially unalived because of positional asphyxiation, which I love how they always make it sound so fancy and so scientific, but he was obviously suffocated from being in a weird position for an extended period of time in a suitcase where oxygen is definitely more limited already, let alone being smushed together where you're not even able to expand your lungs fully. Man, I'm claustrophobic, so that's but George had a black eye. He had scratches on his back and shoulders. He had multiple bruises and lumps and cuts on his head. Now, what? How's he getting all of this? Sarah, this opens up so many questions now for me. So many questions, which is now the point in time when I do want to dive into this. My issue with her defense is that he had all these bumps, bruises, cuts, and all this on him. And how did he get in the suitcase? My theory on everything, she says that they both mutually decided for him to get in this suitcase. I think that they were legitimately playing hide and seek. For whatever reason, they were being adult children and playing hide and seek because they're drunk. I think George thought it would be funny and somehow got himself into the suitcase on his own. Somehow, I think he got himself into the suitcase on his own. I think he got stuck in the suitcase on his own. And I think Sarah found him because he was probably freaking out that he was stuck in the suitcase on his own. I don't think that they decided to go in this suitcase together. I don't think that they decided that this would be a funny idea, because nothing in that video says that this was funny to George. Nothing at all. Maybe it was funny at first when he was hiding and he thought, she'll never find me in this suitcase that was just laying on the floor. Because that's what I would think. If I saw the suitcase laying on the floor, I'd be like, man, if I could fit in that suitcase. I would never zip it shut though. I would maybe flap it over, but I would never zip it shut. So maybe that's what he did. And maybe Sarah did come up and when she found him, zipped it shut. I don't know. But then you hear all the nasty things she was saying to him.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it up.
Sarah. I can't fucking breathe, babe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah. 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 Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
Real or ransom. Might want to get video for it extra. Because I got this.
Sarah.
Real or ransom.
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
Oh. That's what I feel like when you ching on me.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
Fucking breathe, Sarah.
Yeah. You should probably shut the fuck up.
Sarah.
So I almost think that she was hitting him, or the other possibility is there's pictures of the suitcase being flipped, and there's also a second video, which I'll show you real quick.
Sarah.
Now this second video shows the suitcase also flipped over. In the first video, it is flipped on its front side. In the next video, it's flipped on its back side. And this is all still while everything is happening. The videos are timed 11 minutes apart from each other. So obviously Sarah did something with the suitcase. Did she drag him up and down the stairs? If this thing has wheels, did she roll him all around and bang him into things, like trying to hurt him, trying to get revenge on him because he cheated on her or because he put his hands on her or any of the things that she mentioned? The fact that he had bruises, scratches, scrapes, bumps, mumps, everything all over him, that is what gets me about this case. Because had he not had those things, sure, maybe she did just get too drunk, went upstairs, passed out, and forgot about him, and it was an accident. But something seems a whole lot more sinister when you really think about it. Not only that, but then the next day, when she calls Brian before she calls 911.
I know you said that she called you freaking out, saying he was dead. Did she give you any more, like, did you ask why or how?
She told me that they were playing last night or something, and he got in the suitcase and she fell asleep.
Okay.
That's all she told me, so I don't know anything beyond that.
Okay.
And I really didn't talk to her much because I came inside, I told her you need to call the police, and then I came back out, and I think she went on the back porch to smoke a cigarette, so I didn't even really talk with her much.
Oh, like she was going outside this. Did you see her take a cigarette?
Yeah, she was going outside with well, I also know when the cops showed up, she kept on telling them she had a cigarette burning out there and she needed to go put it out.
Okay.
But they were keeping her away from stuff, I guess.
Right. Okay.
She's not actually giving him CPR. She's out back smoking, drinking a Dr. Pepper. In fact, it's even said at one point that she was wanting to go in the back to get her cigarette because it was on the porch. And the reason that she had a cigarette out back on the porch was because it was still burning when she came out front when the police actually arrived. So she was trying to go back to finish her smoke. I don't know. To me, it's just all very fishy, and it doesn't seem like she had any sort of efforts to try and save his life. She was never giving him CPR. She knew he was passed away. She was not trying to save his life in any way. And it makes it seem like it might have been more sinister. And on top of that, she says that they only had maybe like a half a bottle of wine. But during the police interrogation that I listened to, the detectives actually say that they have proof that they bought 2 bottles of wine that day. So it would have been impossible for that bottle of wine to have only been half gone unless they had drank it that day. Well, and on top of that, they found 2 empty bottles of wine that were both on that same receipt. She says they only had a little bit of wine, but you can hear how drunk she is in this video, so it's not even a question that she was wasted. And on top of that, the autopsy report did show that George had alcohol in his system as well. So I don't know, you guys. If you ask me, like, sure, they were both drunk, but they both got drunk, and it sounds like, Sarah already had a drinking problem. But she was starting to get more violent and more aggressive when she was drinking, and it sounds like it finally hit its breaking point. Now, it's been 4 years since this case happened. 4 years. Now, what happened in between then? Sure, we had COVID, but there's been a lot of other cases that happened pre-COVID that have also happened since then. What's the holdup, Sarah? What's going on? I'll tell you what's going on, you guys. Sarah is such a narcissist that she wants to control every little bit of her defense, that she is trying to manage these attorneys that keep getting assigned to her case. And none of them like that. Of course they don't, because she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's not an attorney. She doesn't know how to defend herself in a court of law, and yet she's acting like she does. So she went through one private attorney that her ex-husband was actually paying for, but because of all the irreconcilable differences, that attorney decided to resign. She was then appointed a court-appointed attorney, a public defender. She was then appointed 7 more public defenders from that point forward, all of which noted that they just had irreconcilable differences between Miss Boone and them and their methodologies, I guess. She never thought that they were caring about her enough. She didn't like the fact that these public defenders had other cases they were working on, not just her case. She didn't like the fact that they didn't seem to believe her or like want to fight for her and fight for what she wanted to fight for in terms of her defense. She just wasn't happy with any of them. So much so, she would not just like fire them. She wouldn't tell them that they were terrible representation. She would never fire any of them. What she would do is she would formally complain at a court hearing to the judge about her counsel and about how ineffective they were. And lo and behold, very shortly after that, counsel would withdraw from the case. And I can understand why. I want to play a little bit of this hearing for you, and you can get an idea of just how difficult Sarah must be to deal with. Like, oh my God.
That she likes to tell me it's not necessary, but I know for a fact it is necessary. She likes to, in quotes, put things to rest all the time and constantly tells me I'm not having this conversation with you. So I'm not going to waste my time, and I, being in jail, have supposedly abundant amounts of. She's not going to waste my time because she's not going to explain something to me. And I have taken it upon myself to explain it to myself because she refuses to do so. I don't understand what it is that she has against me. I have told her from day one that her snotty attitude was inappropriate, and I try very hard to bear with her and her attitude. I don't know what it is that I'm doing wrong to her, but I feel that her attitude has equaled prejudice, which is not in my favor, especially considering she supposedly represented my life.
The court's in a difficult position, but at this point, we're at that impasse of if she walks out of every conference that I have with her, I'm not sure what that says about the attorney-client relationship.
But it got so bad that the judge actually revoked her right to counsel. Basically, not saying she can't have a lawyer, he's just saying that the state is no longer going to appoint a lawyer for her. She has burned her bridges with that. She has taken advantage of every situation, and she has now gotten to a point where she is not even allowed to have a public defender. And she can't really afford a private attorney on her own. So what does she do? Well, I'll tell you what she does. She makes this crazy ad.
Inmate seeks attorney. Looking for a prosperous challenge? Ready for your close-up on national television? Are you zealous with the side of keen? Show the world who you are with your original creativity, extraordinary expertise, confident ingenuity. Qualifications must include being trustworthy, honest, passion-driven, open-minded, exceptional problem-solving skills, client inclusion at all times, team orientation, collaboration, extreme efficiency in listening, communicating, understanding, dedication to success, possessing a winning mindset, capability of excellence in representation, committed, maintaining faith in the client and case with the ability to think differently, overcome all circumstances. Epic opportunity awaits. Sarah Boone, number 20005623, Orange County Corrections Department. Invest in the oppressed. Believe.
Kind of comical, but at the same time, like, do you really think that this ad is going to work, finding you a really bang up attorney to help you actually fight this murder charge? It does. It works. It actually works. And James Owen is her hero. James Owen saves the day. Who's James Owen? I don't know. He's an attorney, but he comes in, swoops in like a knight in shining armor, and he is going to save the day and represent Sarah Boone with less than 1 month to prepare for this trial. Because one of the other stipulations that the judge made was, regardless of what happens, there is going to be no more postponements of this trial. Because part of the reason they think that she was going through all these different lawyers was to keep postponing the trial date, keep postponing all these hearings. And, you know, if she keeps having to get a new attorney, then they keep having to push the case out. So they think that that might be a part of it. But at the same time, she's such a narcissist. I can honestly believe that she is just that difficult to represent and get along with. And it gets to the point where she is so close to representing herself. And thank God for her that she's not representing herself, because she looked like she was not even remotely ready for that. It was going to be another Ted Bundy situation all over. But Sarah's defense for all of this is basically the battered woman defense, which is, I mean, as good of a defense as she's going to get, because during her interrogations, the only thing that she seems to think is that because she didn't unalive him intentionally, she thinks that that might qualify her for not having to face any charges for it. Or just victim blame. Classic narcissist victim blame. It was George's fault. Because George was abusing me, I killed him. That's what happened. Classic narcissist.
Why is this happening?
Because George is dead.
Not intentionally.
We understand that.
He's still dead.
Well, we don't
Someone
really
needs to
understand
call
that.
Brian, please.
Okay.
Or can I not make a phone call?
So I don't know. I think Mr. James Owen has his work cut out for him for sure. He seems to be in positive spirits. He seems to have a positive attitude about everything. And he seems to be willing to listen to her. He says he went down to the courthouse for 4 hours and listened to her talk and just, you know, gave her an ear to open up to and kind of hear what her frustrations were with counsel before and see where she wanted to go with the case. And he said he spent 4 hours at the jail talking to her. He said she had a lot to say. Regardless of how crazy and how wild Sarah Boone might be, our judicial system is set up a certain way for a reason, and I fully 100% agree with his reasons for taking on this case. But I want to know what you guys think. Would you take this case on? And not only that, what do you think is going to happen in this case? Because if you ask me, this shit is open and shut. She is not winning this case at all. There's no way that her defense is going anywhere unless they can come up with some substantial evidence and some substantial things that make me think that, okay, maybe she was being more abused than it seems like she was. But from what I've researched and what I've seen, it seems like the abuse was kind of going both ways. And it seems like she was just blackout drunk had no memory of the fact that any of this happened, got into a fit of rage, and made some mistakes. How often do we see that happen? But I'm not sure exactly how long this trial is going to be, but the trial is on court TV right now, so if you're interested in following along, feel free to do that. And of course, drop comments if you have anything you guys want to say about the case, or if there's anything that you think I missed, then definitely let me know. Yeah, other than that, we'll try and do a recap once the trial's over and we've got more of an idea of what happened and how everything finalizes. So, and we'll see how well James Owen does representing Miss Boone. But thank you guys for listening to George and Sarah's story. And like I said, follow along if you want to follow the trial. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel and you want to keep up to date with all my stories, I post a new one every Friday. This was a special one because, well, the trial started today and I just really wanted this to be posted. So yeah, but I post a new story every Friday and I'll link a couple of videos for you to check out at the end of this one. But that's really all I got for you guys. Later, sobers.
Oh my